Hey everyone, it's Jason from EskimoTV.net, and today I'm going to be reviewing Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. If you prefer to read my review, you can check that out over at EskimoTV.net. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania is the 31st film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and is helmed by Peyton Reed, who directed the previous two Ant-Man films. Unfortunately, Quantumania starts off on a seemingly promising note, but then completely spirals out of control, becoming absurd, unrelatable, and honestly one of the worst Marvel films that I've seen in a long time. Scott Lang, played by Paul Rudd, and his daughter Cassie, who's played by Catherine Newton, are separated from Hope Van Dyne, played by Evangeline Lilly, her mom Janet, played by Michelle Pfeiffer, and the creator of the original Ant-Man suit, Hank Pym, played by Michael Douglas. They're separated in the quantum realm, a world that is microscopic. The film showcases our characters trying to locate each other and return to the human world, Janet's unspoken past within the quantum realm, and an ultimate showdown against an iconic comic book villain, Kang the Conqueror, played by Jonathan Majors. The beginning of the film had some intrigue. Scott is now a respected author. Cassie is picked up by Scott and Hope from a police station and is reprimanded for shrinking a police car down to the size of a toy car in the name of justice. This argumentative relationship between Scott and his daughter continues when Scott learns that Cassie has been studying the quantum realm, and Paul Rudd does an excellent job at showing a desire to show an interest in his daughter's hobbies, but at the same time wants to tell her she shouldn't be doing this so that way she can stay safe. Additionally, the film becomes slightly suspenseful when Janet, who spent 30 years in the quantum realm, forcefully shuts down everything Cassie is working on, saying she should not be making any form of communication with the quantum realm. At this point, I thought the film had some good going for it. You naturally wonder why in the world Janet doesn't want anyone to study this universe. She was there for such a long time, so what does she know that we don't? And Scott's paternal protection for his daughter is quite admirable. Unfortunately, the film quickly becomes convoluted and unengaging after this quite decent setup. Our characters are separated in the quantum realm, as previously mentioned. Once again, Scott Lang and his daughter Cassie are separated from Hope, Janet, and Hank. And so you have two back and forth missions that these different characters are focused on. Typically, when this happens in film, oftentimes you have one story that is more engaging or more interesting than the other, where you think to yourself, when are we going to get back to these more interesting characters? Unfortunately, neither set of characters had much intrigue to build off of that first act that was set up fairly decently. With Scott and Cassie, we are focused on the people in this quantum realm, and with Hope, Janet, and Hank, the focus is on Janet's past and her connection to Jonathan Majors' character, Kang. Janet spends a chunk of time telling Hope and Hank and pretty much the audience what happened between her and Kang during the time she was in the quantum realm, and it's all non-interestingly spoon-fed to the audience. The theme of justice can be seen once again in the quantum realm, where Scott simply wants to focus on returning to Earth, saying that these aren't their problems, but Cassie reasons that they should stay and help the people of this realm, explaining just because it's not happening to you doesn't mean it's not happening. That theme would have been a great one if it could have been executed with more of an engaging punch, but the film is more concerned with cycling through all of its ridiculous plot that does not have much to hold its viewer in suspense or produce laughs or any sort of creative plot that captures the attention of its audience. I am not going to lie, I started dozing off 3 or 4 times. I made it to the end and finished it, but I was tremendously bored for the middle section of this film, trying so hard to stay laser focused on what was happening, and that wouldn't have been the case had the film had more of an engaging story. There is a character that has got to be the worst looking CGI character I've ever seen in a Marvel film. Corey Stoll reprises his role from the franchise as Darren Cross, who is banished to the quantum realm and mutated into the silly, sinister villain with an oversized head. He's known as MODOK. Albeit the character design from the comics does look a little bit ridiculous, so it was a challenge, I'm sure, to build this character in the MCU. If you Google MODOK, you'll understand what I'm saying. That's M-O-D-A-K. However, it's just a regular human-looking giant head moving around. If you look at the picture of this character from the comics, you'll notice that this head does not have many flesh tones, and it seems like the visual effects artist got lazy with effects, designing an unfinished-looking character. The tones should have been desaturated and non-human looking, but instead it just looks like a normal-looking human head with little alteration, just mass to these tiny arms and legs. It was laughably embarrassing. Finally, Kang the Conqueror, who according to my Marvel friends is supposed to be this big villain, does not appear to be astronomically different from any ordinary Marvel villain. I will admit that we do get to see what terrible evil this character is capable of, and perhaps when we see him in future films, he will make more of a dent as a big primary villain. But from my perspective, as just someone who sees these films, I thought, is this supposed to be the new Thanos? Because this guy is not at that level. Not yet, at least. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania is just about Thor, Love and Thunder bad, and I highly recommend skipping it. If you are wanting to see a more engaging film, if you can catch Fabelman still in theaters, I would recommend that. Even Megan, just a run-of-the-mill January horror film, was a better turn your brain off, let's have some fun. That was more fun. A quick 90-minute film. I recommend either of those over this film. I'm going to give Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania a D. And so, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Were you looking forward to this movie? If you've seen the film, let me know if you agree, disagree. Maybe I'm wrong. Tell me why in the comments. And if you haven't seen this film, let me know what are your expectations. I really wanted to like this movie. I like creative worlds where they do some really interesting and engaging things, but unfortunately, this was one I just couldn't quite get into. And that'll do it. If you enjoyed this review, please smash that like button. You can also consider subscribing to the channel if you want to see more videos like this in your feed. And if you want to read my review or check out some other reviews from some of my other authors, you can check out the website EskimoTV.net. Thank you all so much for checking out this video, and until next time, my name is Jason Escamilla from EskimoTV.net.